Okay, so I'd like to talk a little bit about self. What is self? What is the self? What is ego, persona? The self is empty. Self ultimately is empty. You know, one metaphor I've heard used or image, metaphor slash image, is that of a hurricane. And if you've seen the sort of satellite image, satellite perspective, satellite perspective image of a of a of a hurricane, big tropical storm. You see this, they're usually circular, roughly circular, and there's sort of it's like a white circle with an empty center, and the white part of the image is the weather. It's the storm itself, the storm patterns, the clouds, the rain, the wind. And if you see like a time lapse image, you see that circular motion as the storm moves across the ocean, across land. But at the center, they call it, I think, the eye of the storm, is this open space. No metaphor is perfect. Yeah, it probably doesn't even need to be said, but there is something, it does sort of, on some spiritual or psychological or emotional level, point to or illuminate the nature of the ego, the self, the persona, the small self. That ultimately, when you look into the self, you know, sort of the fundamental spiritual question, at least one of them, who am I? Ramana Maharishi, self-inquiry. I don't remember the Sanskrit, Namyar or something, or the Hindi or whatever language. Who am I? That's the inquiry, spiritual inquiry. What am I? Who am I? What does the I, when I say that, what does that refer to? Experientially, phenomenologically. Am I using that word right? We'll just say experientially. What does that point to? When I investigate it directly with awareness, it's like, uh-oh, where is it? What is this I? Is there something substantial in direct experience that you can find? And it's a good investigation. It's a good investigation. But there is a, you could say just in conventional terms, without any direct investigation, just for the, for just convention's sake, what is it that we refer to colloquially or commonly as the ego, as the persona? And I see it just as, weather patterns, basically. Metaphorically, the weather in this case would be kind of our psychological conditioning. All the patterns of behavior, of thought, of reaction, the memories, this kind of constellation of seemingly personal contents that has, through time, come to take on a sort of feeling, you could say, of solidity. That there is a sense of self. That seems to be spinning around some kind of a center, right? There's a body, apparent body here. Thoughts, emotions, memories, etc. But the spiritual exploration is to investigate and these sort of fundamental assumptions of reality, of experience. And you can do that methodically, just by noticing that every aspect of your experience comes and goes. Where is yesterday? Where is 2 seconds ago? It exists, it has a kind of existence in images and impressions in the mind. So you go into that, you investigate that directly. Just with awareness, you touch what are those images made out of? And you just see, oh, that's empty. Just pixelated, kind of shimmering pixels of light, of illuminated, faint, just these kind of faint visual pixels. Get close to that. What is that? It's just kind of a, it's hard to even really put words to it. Sort of just, light awareness. So that's, I think, really what is, when we're talking about ego, we're just sort of talking about, and it's like you don't want to give it too much solidity. Talking about patterns, energetic patterns, behavioral patterns. Personality traits, dispositions. Expressions, there's an expression here, a certain expression that comes through. And you can see just with a very, minimal amount of investigation how conditional all that is, the beliefs, the personality, preferences, it's all part of this one interconnected and beyond interconnection. It's just this one expression. Formlessness, expressing as form. I don't know if I want to say it quite that way, but I'm trying to think, why does any of this really matter? I guess it's useful just to investigate, to figure out, who am I? What am I? And you realize you're part of this fabric of consciousness. What's given is sort of this sensory experience. You can investigate each of the senses individually with your awareness. You can isolate touch, tactile sense, apparent solidity of forms, but dropping the concepts about solid or subtle, or without any conceptual framework. You can even have your eyes closed and touch, something. What actually is that experience? Can I go into that experience? Can I inhabit it from the inside? You find again just this kind of energetic emptiness slash form, emptiness slash Yeah, it's sort of, it's both. It's like, though in a way, it's, you kind of want to emphasize the emptiness of it all because we're so accustomed to this, looking at the world as very solid. It's like if the past, if I can see that, that's just sort of made up as of these sensory impressions. And when I investigate the senses, it just opens up into kind of a radiant fuzz, a radiant, it's this radiant fabric of consciousness. And you say, okay, well, 1 second ago, where is that now? Whoa. That also is just part of this thing, this whole kind of soup of sensory material, this soup of radiant experience. And then you move, and then you just make the logical leap, the next leap into this moment. And you have sight. What is the sight made out of? Directly in experience. Can you sense that it's just kind of a frequency, a vibration? That this moment just keeps arising as sensory data, as consciousness. The sounds, can you go directly into the sound? Anyways, it's something to experiment with, and really it's all just self-inquiry. It's all, who am I? It's like having that insight, okay, there's just a hole at the center of this storm that I call myself, that I call my persona. There's just this empty, open space. Where are the boundaries to that? Is it contained by something? And if so, can I fall back behind that container? You get this infinite regress. And as, doing kind of, healing work, shadow material coming up, you might not frame it in the same way you would kind of explicitly phrase, who am I? What is it that is aware right now? What is awareness? Am I aware? You might not explicitly phrase it in that kind of succinct way, but it's the same thing. It's the same question, really. It's like when these memories come forward, it's almost like you're asking to them in some direct way, nonverbal way, almost embodied way. You're saying, who am I? Who are you? It's like, if it's all continuous, this openness, if it's continuous with everything, then what do we actually mean by self? It's like this is God's heart, God's mind manifesting. And so you're just sort of investigating everything, investigating the contents of experience. And it's interesting also, that kind of introspective gaze, backward step. Who am I? Finding nothing solid. It's not like there's one little, can't just like isolate one little particle, like there it is, that's the self. No, it's just this field of openness. It's interesting to kind of posit that to the people, not verbally, but just experimenting with people you interact with, like, who actually is this? Who is this other person? Can I locate their self? And that's kind of a wild thing to do. In the same way you would inquire and look and investigate and experience, where is the self? For me, the apparent me, who is this person? And it's kind of a wild thing. Who's running the show? It's like, it's God expressing in all these forms. And there's like a flavor, a sense of self. It's ultimately kind of evanescent. But yeah, I don't know. Just a few thoughts, a few things to experiment with. Who is this person I'm interacting with? Where exactly are they? In this body in front of me, where exactly are they? And it's almost like you get this energetic impression, and you can go into that, or you just conjure somebody up in your mind. Who exactly are they? And it's like there's a unique flavor there. There's a unique energetic signature. The beingness of that person.